Hello and welcome to Engine Adventure's off-road review of this 2021 Jeep Gladiator Rubicon with the EcoDiesel, of course. This truck is not going to do much on this little test hill. We're going to do some other stuff with it maybe today instead, because as you can see, this is about as much articulation as I can get out of this hill, and we still got all four wheels on the ground, no problem. That is with the sway bar disconnected, but even with it connected, I'm pretty sure we'd be on the ground. So anyway, let's get into it. All right, I'm backing down this hill, and quite steep, 26 degrees now, but this is just doing it all on its own with this little cruise control, crawl control button there. Now we're down off the hill, but that was quite impressive how controlled and slow it was able to back down that. The speedometer never moved, so it never moved above 0. I'm sure I'm going about a half a mile an hour. Very impressive in reverse. Let's go ahead and try that in drive. And again, this is engaged. This thing, watch the truck shake when I give it a little gas. It totally leans over. It's kind of funny. It feels like you're in a huge high torque, like semi or something, when they're accelerating under load. Anyway, so to adjust the speed of it, you can see 0.6 miles an hour right there below the temperature. And you pull down, put this into manual mode, and pull down on it to go up, and push forward to go lower. So this hill, I haven't had a vehicle able to climb it yet. I didn't try it with the Wrangler. I'm sure the Wrangler would have made it just fine. Wrangler Unlimited Rubicon with the diesel. But this thing, of course, Jeep Gladiator Rubicon diesel. We're 26 degrees, 27. I think it might hit 28. 28, there you go. 29, 30. And it's fairly loose. There you go. 31 degrees, 32. Then we're gonna high center. Right there. So, too bad. We'll get some outside shots of that as well, but pretty cool. The biggest nemesis of this truck is that breakover angle. So as you can see there, and it's not, I mean, these rails are kind of low, but it's way underneath. If I turn the camera sideways, hopefully that doesn't mess you up too much. Anyway, it's way down in there where it bottoms out. In reverse, 4-wheel drive low without touching the gas. We can get up to 9 degrees, 10 degrees, 11, 13. It settled on 13 degrees there. That's no gas at all, just letting the truck roll backwards. That's how low the gearing is and how good the torque is. We'll go ahead and try that going forward on this other hill. So in many vehicles, this one included, we're in manual first gear, but the first gear is lower than reverse. So here we are again. My feet are off the brake, off the gas, and we're just gonna climb this hill, which doesn't look as steep on video as it really is. But so we made it to about 12, 13 degrees in reverse. We're still going at 20 plus degrees. 25 is where it stopped in drive. Interesting. All right, I just want to show you where this trail cam is useful. So that's my line of sight right now. Can't really see the road, and this hill's not that steep, but if you come down here to the camera, now I can see the road, and you can see the road in the camera the whole time. So that is where the trail cam is most useful. Here we are in the high-speed off-road section, and I've driven it a couple times now just to see. We're about about 18 miles an hour. And I've noticed with the sway bar disconnected, that was at 15 miles an hour when we bottomed out on that bump. And that's with it connected. So with the sway bar disconnected, it actually seems to wander quite a bit more. So I was thinking it would be a smoother ride with the sway bar disconnected, and it might be a little bit smoother, but it engages at like 18 miles an hour anyway, so you kind of lose it quick. But it wanders a lot without it connected. So here we are with it connected, and there are sections, it kind of depends on how abrupt the bumps are, which is really weird because this has a lot of wheel travel, but it bottoms out really pretty fast over not excessively large bumps. So there are sections, of course, where you can hit 20, but I would give this a lower rating. It's better than the Wrangler for sure, and I think that has a lot to do with the wheelbase. Maybe longer vehicles are more stable, but it's still not as good as like the TRD Pros. So what I would love to see or drive is the Mojave version, because it is designed for doing this. Here we are in two-wheel drive, and check out the impressive articulation. So that wheel is throwing dirt, it's barely off the ground, and it takes a truck a minute to figure it out, but once it does, it makes the rest of the climb pretty easily, and I think all of that is due to that articulation. Now turning off traction control, let's see how it does. I know Jeep still has the brake system that applies the brake to the spinning wheel, and you'll notice a lot more wheel spin here, higher wheel speed before it does transfer power, but it seems to do it a little quicker. Here we are in four-wheel drive high with traction control on, and I was actually really surprised that it took this much effort to make it in four-wheel drive. So you can see the wheels spin quite a bit before the Jeep finally figures it out, transfers power to the wheels with traction, and the rest of the climb's easy. Despite my best efforts here, I somehow managed to take a slightly better line and don't quite get the wheels off the ground. So you saw that tiny bit of slip there, but even trying to roll back and get it where the wheels are off the ground, it just makes this climb no problem. I needed to line it up just a little bit better. When shifting into four-wheel drive low, traction control and electronic stability control are automatically disabled. So you're left with the Jeep brake lock differential to transfer power side to side, and you saw the rear lift just a hair there. Even still, I didn't line it up good enough to get both the front wheel and the rear wheel off the ground. Makes the climb no problem. I wanted to run through all the four-wheel drive stuff with you. So obviously here is your four-wheel drive transfer case lever, and anytime basically, I don't know what Jeep says, probably under 55 or under 65 miles an hour, you can just grab that, pull it straight back, and you're in four-wheel drive. That's all it takes. When you're going into four low, you need to put the Jeep into neutral, otherwise it won't shift. So I can't even get it down into neutral on the transfer case because the transmission needs to be in neutral. Now I'm in neutral here, and it shows it right there, four-wheel drive neutral warning. So even if I go to park now, the truck's gonna roll because transfer case is in neutral. Go back to neutral there, and then in four-wheel drive low, pull that lever all the way back. Now we are in four-wheel drive low, and ESC is disabled, traction control disabled automatically. Then on this particular one, okay, all the Gladiator Rubicons, so back to two-wheel drive, and if I hit the rear locker only by pushing this down, to lock axles, shift to four-wheel drive low. So even in four-wheel drive high, we'll do that again, to lock axles, shift to four low. So on the Mojave, I believe you can lock the rear in four-wheel drive high. There are definitely times, if you're in mud and sand and stuff, especially with this diesel, you don't get a lot of rev range. You might want to be in high range with the axles locked, at least the rear locked, but you can't do that. So we go back into 4 low, and we can hit down. It's locked. Hit up. Now both the front and rear are locked, and you can see that right. So this is the off-road page, and you go there and you can see the 3 locks there. It also has this Off-Road Plus button, which when you're in 4 low gives you extra rock crawling control. So your throttle is dead basically, so you can have super fine control of your throttle. Very little acceleration for a large input. And if you engage the Off-Road Plus in 4-wheel drive high, it's tuned more for sand and mud to help you clear the tires and keep you moving. So back to this, you have the drivetrain here, which will show you steering angle, what your transfer case is, sway bar is connected, and to disconnect the sway bar, push this button, and hopefully we don't have to move. Sway bar disconnect in progress. A lot of times you do have to move, so it looks like we will. I've seen other videos of people having troubles with that. Just make sure that you're moving around a little bit. There you go, sway bar disconnected. And now sway bar disconnected. Front axle locked, center's locked because once you go to 4-wheel drive, there's no center differential, and then the rear diff is locked. Shows a lock there, but truly there is no differential in the center. I love this. All your temperature, battery voltage, pressure gauges there that are vital. Pitch and roll, same thing that you can get on the other screen, just bigger. And then of course the trail cam, forward and reverse with the zoom still in reverse. So that's kind of the rundown of how the off-road system works. We're gonna go back into 2-wheel drive and go do the steep hill climb. We're just gonna do a couple. We're not gonna go through everything on that. I might be trying the off-road modes. The sway bar also cannot be disconnected in 2-wheel drive. You have to be in 4-wheel drive, so that's automatically going to connect as soon as it can. And basically, again, you have to get movement. There he goes. The wheels need to be moving side to side on the front, so articulating a little bit for that to lock. In other vehicles, I'd be worried about trying to drive straight into this hill, but not in the Gladiator. The approach angle is extremely good on this thing, and that really is no problem at all. Here we are, 4-wheel drive high. I'm just gonna lock it in the first gear, and nothing else has been done. So sway bar is connected. The Off-Road Plus mode has not been engaged or anything. Traction control still on. Whatever, we're just shifting into 4-wheel drive and going for a little drive here. And one thing is you can hear the roof creak as you articulate in this thing. So there we go. Really spinning. Pedals on the floor now. We're at 2,000 RPM. And is it gonna figure it out? It figures it out. From here, the rest of the climb's easy. So it took a little effort. We are destroying this hill, but what I really want to test now is when I hit that Off-Road Plus button, what's it gonna do? Okay, Off-Road Plus. Go ahead and shift back into drive. I heard the fan kick on, but our temps are okay. So Off-Road Plus, and it shows the Jeep in sand there. So even more wheel spin, we're starting to slide off course. Rather than risk anything, we're just gonna hit 4 low and Off-Road Plus. Let's see what it does. Let's turn that back off. There we go, Off-Road Plus. There you go, so it kind of shows a rock mode now. And let's see if this will get us back on course. A little bit of throttle. I can hear the ABS and feel the ABS working hard. to do that. Really, this vehicle, that's with open differentials and stuff. Let me go ahead and throw it in reverse. Back down this hill with just letting the engine brake do it, and it's a little too fast for me. So I did apply the brakes there, and I still am applying the brakes. So there we go, we're off the brakes entirely. It's about 4 or 5 miles an hour in reverse down this hill. Go ahead and lock it up just for demonstration purposes, and it's locked. Axle's locked front and rear. Go ahead and get the angle gauge going. Next vehicle I bring out here, Dodge Durango next week, I'm bringing a shovel and a pick most likely. But with both axles locked, right there, we've got 2 wheels in the air and no problem. Well, at least 1 wheel in the air. Okay, let's reset that camera. Here, as we test the breakover angle, you can see that lowest skid plate, the lowest point on the vehicle, happens to be at the worst point for the breakover angle. It still clears it, but it was real close. I definitely should have put the camera in wide view instead of linear, but you can still see a lot of the protection and how most components are lifted up, except for right there. That skid plate covering the transfer case is the lowest point on the vehicle, and it is dead center between the front and rear axles. Everything else quite well protected and raised up pretty high. One other thing of note is that the spare tire is the same as all the other tires on the vehicle. All right, 4-wheel drive low. First gear, and we're just going to drop down this. I'm still on the brake. Ow. And there we go, off the brake entirely. It's reading about 2 miles an hour. This is with the diffs locked, so I have the most amount of control. The best one we've tested yet, so on par with that Jeep Wrangler Rubicon, of course, which has the same gear ratio. But we're gonna be done today. 4 high, off-road plus, give it a whirl. We'll see what we can do. Oh, good. Not nearly as bad as I expected. Well, that was definitely a whole soft spot there. Thank you for watching Engine Adventures off-road review of this 2021 Jeep Gladiator Rubicon EcoDiesel. As expected, extremely capable. I don't have the ability to push this to its limits. I might have a place I could take it, but I'd be too worried about body damage and such. The thing is really just so capable right now. That's about all the articulation you get here on the rear, which is a ton. So if I lift this, you can see it comes, sorry, turning the camera. Anyway, it comes off the ground. That's about all you can get there. So the front sway bar is connected. With it disconnected, that wheel would still be on the ground. As you can see here, this one also a little bit more, but it's about maximum articulation there as well. Anyway, extremely capable vehicle, really aggressive tires, deep treads, and lots of torque. I love the diesel engine in this thing, and it kind of matches it. So for low speed rock crawling stuff, diesel engines are by far the best in off-roading, just because the low torque. And the issue is when you get into places where you need to accelerate, you don't have a big rev range, you're pretty limited on, you know, getting up to speed with a diesel engine. So having the diesel for high-speed off-road for sand and mud isn't as good, but for low-speed off-road, amazing. If you liked what you saw, be sure to hit subscribe, ring the bell so you get notifications. Be sure to give me a thumbs up if you liked the video. If you didn't like it and you give me a thumbs down, be sure to comment down below and let me know why. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.